Okay guys, so I'm running into my first problems. This thing was going super smooth and it is not no more. So I have found out some differences between a 4.2 liter and the V8 application. It kind of threw me for a loop because I just kind of figured that all this stuff would line up. So I'm going to flip this around and let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so these are the two cross members. This one here is the 5.3 cross member. This is the 4.2 cross member. They are identical. Now the problem lies right under here. Let's see here. If you look at where my trans mount is, it's even with the front of the cross member bolt holes. So that means that these chassis are V8 and 4.2 specific. So if you got a 4.2 chassis, I'm assuming where they welded all of this in, it's further back in the chassis from like where the motor is sitting. So option one, cut all this out, both sides, move it forward and make it fit that way. I don't think I'm going to do that. That is a lot of cutting and welding and laying on my back and doing the whole 9 yards on my back. So, is what I think I'm going to do, since I do have both cross members. This is the front of the cross member, both of them. This is the fronts, this is the backs. Is what I think I'll do is cut this out here on the front, and then I think I'll shape it to shape the back side of this so that it'll fit this contour and just weld it onto the front of this cross member. That is what I'm thinking right now. The only other option is to take the trans mount off the transmission, the rubber isolator mount, and add to it. But I think by doing that to the trans mount, I think it would be weaker than doing it this way. I think if I do it this way, that's going to be my strongest possible solution. Just because these cross members, they got so many bolting locations. I mean, there's 8, 4 on each side, and then you got 2 that go through, and so there's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That thing takes 12 bolts to hold it in. The other option is coming up here, taking the trans mount off and adding to it and moving this back. But I think with that, I can run into problems with the transfer case. And then the last problem that I think I'm going to have is right there. If you look at the drive shaft, it's about 3 inches short. So that tells me that this whole outfit, from the bell housing back, is 3 inches that way. Because I believe these 4 L60Es, are the same transmission. I don't believe one's longer than the other. I think they're all the same. And so that tells me that this one here everything sets forward. And it's probably to get that clearance right there. Because I know the old transmission, when I tore this apart and I was looking at putting a V8 in it, the front of the bell housing on this 4.2 application sat back in here, roughly 3 inches back. And so to get the V8 to clear, I believe that's how they did it, is they just moved that transmission cross member forward in the chassis, the whole, where they welded it onto the frame. Because everything here lines up perfect. I mean, there's no rubbing issues, power steering, everything just lined up like it was supposed to. And so the frames are different, guys. If you're doing a 4.2 liter, 5.3 liter swap, you're going to need to do something with the cross member. So with that said, yeah, I think I'm just going to fab up this cross member just to fit up there. Then I'll have to have my rear driveline lengthened. I did go grab the one out of the 5.3 liter application, and it's way too long. I could have it shortened, and I am going to take it in there and ask the guy if he can shorten that one, because it is a bigger tubed drive shaft. And so I am going to see if he can shorten this one. If he can shorten this one and weld aluminum really good, I'll just have him shorten this one to the length I need. If you look at this, there's one weight right there. So I'll have him take it off the rear. Well, there is a weight down there too. But the other thing you can do with these drive shafts, guys, is once they're shortened, if he can't balance them, and I don't know if my machine shop can balance them, is what I do is on the high end, so that's going to be right here, I drill a hole in the drive shaft, and then I fill it full of oil. I don't fill it full of oil, but I put, a quart of oil in it, and it acts like a fluid dampener. And I've done that on a couple of my pickups that I had driveline work done on. And it works really good. I mean, I had no vibration issues whatsoever, and they weren't balanced. I just drilled a hole right in the very center of it, put some oil in there, put some silicone around that hole to keep it from coming back out, and it worked great. So that's what I'm going to look into. And the other thing I'm going to look into is I'm going to price a drive shaft for a 5.3 application in a short trailblazer. We'll see what one of them costs. If they're pretty reasonable, I'll probably pick one up. I need to get the measurements of it, make sure it's the right one for this application. But really, all in all, for what I've done and the swapping, this isn't bad. A cross member, it's going to take me maybe half hour to make it right and to make it fit and to make it strong. So a half hour worth of fabrication work. I mean, I put a Cummins in an old Chevy pickup one time. There was a lot of different fabrication there. So basically, this is a bolt-in. So I'm just glad that I had two of these trailblazers doing this. That way I have the extra parts. And so highly recommend when you guys do something like this to find a wrecked one with a V8 in it. Or if you're doing vice versa, you want to go to a 4.2 liter, find one that's wrecked. You could pick up a 4.2 liter that's wrecked trailblazer with the 4.2 in it, pretty inexpensive. I'd say $500-600 from one of these auction yards. So first problem I run into, pretty easy solution. I will show you guys what my cross member looks like when I'm done. Probably going to be on the next video. This one's starting to get lengthy. And I noticed that if I keep the videos short, people pay attention. If I start rambling on, like sometimes I do, people don't. So I'm going to end this video here. The next one will be the update of the cross member and drive shaft. Thank you guys for watching. Click and subscribe. Thank you. All right, guys. Here's an update on the cross member. So I'm going to put this kind of together. I'm going to show you what I did, and you can let me know what you think. Okay, so this is kind of where I'm at right now, which this I just cut out of the center here of the other cross member. Bonus of having two of these things. So I cut that out, ground it down, and I'm going to attach it. I'm going to weld it right there, and then I'll box the ends in, both ends. But now if you look at that, I should be pretty close by the time this comes back to having my transmission cross member right where it needs, because the transmission mount is pretty well centered right in these holes. And so I think that will work. All right, I'll keep you updated.